last weekend, we got asked to film and photograph a traditional Ugandan wedding. Our friend Tom is the one that actually invited us to help with this wedding, and he was the wedding chairman.
Yes.
Which is a thing here. Instead of like wedding planners, they appoint a wedding chairman. It's more of a volunteer position, and that person kind of organizes everything. And he had told us, you know, arrive at the Source Cafe around like 9 a.m. and like we'll get going.
So today we were asked to shoot a wedding. It's 2 full days, and today is the first. It's called the introduction, and we don't know anything else.
We know that it's basically everyone goes to the bride's home village, and the groom's family, I think, brings like gifts and stuff for her family.
Yeah. So
that's what we know.
Abby's taking pictures, and I'm taking videos, and then the actual wedding is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I've never done a wedding before. Have you done a wedding?
No.
So the first time, and we're doing it here in Uganda.
It's honestly a good place to start.
So we're hanging out here waiting to get going.
Yes.
And we spotted the wedding gifts.
There's some live chickens. We also saw him bring in big old cow leg.
Like an entire,
leg.
yeah,
Just
the entire leg.
Most of it was in the bag, but its little hooves were out.
And more gifts all the time. So it was about 11 before we took off. And then we drove to the bride's home village, which was like a little over an hour drive. For the introduction ceremony, you always go to the bride's home village. And then she is introducing the groom and his whole family and village to her family.
And then you come back and tell me.
When the groom side shows up, it's kind of like a parade into the village.
They stand in a line with the guys on one side, the girls on the other side, and then they all, like everybody, walks into the kind of ceremony space for the introduction, which is like a little courtyard in the middle, and then 2 tents on either side, one for the bride's family, one for the groom. So we don't really understand anything that's going on because it's not in English, obviously. So we think there's a break right now. At this point, it's very obvious to us that we don't really know any of the traditions. Whenever people were moving around or somebody was on the mic, we were like, that might be important. Take some pictures and videos of it. So there's MCs that are hired, one for the bride's side, one for the groom's side. And their job is to entertain the whole time. So they're not related to the families.
We thought they were related the whole time. So
I thought it was their dads. I thought it was their dads. So I was like taking so many videos, like, oh, this is a really important speech. So then another important role of the introduction is, I forget what it's called in Musoga, but it's translated to English as the messenger. And it's this guy that's also hired that basically when the bride's dad like tells him to go get different crowds of people and bring them out, he goes, gets them, and then he leads them out in front of everyone in dance. another ritual where the auntie, which I don't know if it's necessarily the auntie of the bride, like blood relative, or if it's just like an important woman in her life.
Yeah.
Has to go through the tent on the groom's side to find the groom because he's just like hidden in the back, like sitting down in the crowd. So once she finds him, then it's like a whole parade taking him to the front. And he sits on this nice throne of a couch. Yeah. We didn't know the bride or groom at all.
No.
We were just asked by our friend Tom to shoot this wedding. And so we met them at their introduction.
After a while, probably close to like 4 p.m., then they were like, okay, groom side, go get lunch. So there's a little bit of a pause. It's a really late lunch for them, but they all went and got food. We got to sit down for a few minutes, which was good, because at this point in the day, it was very hot.
So we were sitting down, kind of taking a break for a couple minutes while it seemed like everybody was just eating. And then somebody came and grabbed us and said, there's an important ceremony going on inside. So we like went around to the, it's a house that was like kind of next to the tents. And it was like, I think just the groom's family and like important people to him.
No, it was the bride and the groom's like immediate family.
Okay, but just the groom was in there, not the bride.
Yeah, the bride wasn't in there. I don't know where she goes, but it was really, really sweet. Like there was multiple like prayers over the groom, prayers over their life together, and it's basically where the two families come and share a meal for the first time.
Mbasaba ne ssekusaba otumbire palishimodo okubanyonnyola ye pulogulaamu ya w'osobodde okuyinza n'osobola okwenyigira.
The groom side gets a lot of gifts for the bride side, which is why these events are really expensive. So they brought in couches, they brought in a rocking chair, they brought in a cow leg, chickens, tons of fruit, different wrapped gifts that we're not real sure what they are.
Lots of soda, like
lots of soda.
The bride gets her engagement ring.
Oh yeah.
And then they cut a cake.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes home with like some fruit.
Yeah.
Which was dope. We got pineapple and bananas.
Olijjanga n'otulambulako.
12, 0.
Abby survived.
I look like I'm like 3 shades darker than I actually am just because I have dust.
And then the reception, which having a moment together.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Stunning.
Yes. Day 1 of 2 is now over.
It was really special to be a part of, but I'm tired and dirty. This wedding ceremony was supposed to start at noon, and probably at like 12:15, we're still sitting at the Source Cafe, which is like a good 10-minute drive from the church. And we're kind of like, and Tom informed us that it's okay, we don't need to rush because all the groomsmen are still here because they haven't gotten their suits yet. Somehow they pulled it together though.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
We went over to the church, and it was a Pentecostal church, and they were still going. Like the service went super
Yeah,
long.
Pentecostal churches are very like kind of move with the spirit. So like, I guess the spirit was moving. It was going long.
Yeah,
It was probably going like an hour and a half longer than what it was supposed to.
So there were guests showing up. It was like 1 something by that time. So we're taking pictures and videos of the guests like kind of arriving. And then Tom or Irene is like, guys, you gotta go inside. The bride is about to walk in. We're like, walk in? We thought the church service was still going. But I guess a lot of people had like gone and just sat in on the end of the church service so they would be ready to just start.
Right.
Praise the Lord. Please stand up. That Lord, it will be a token of their love.
I think in America, some people would not want photographers like right up there during the ceremony, but here they wanted those pictures and they wanted it up close, and so.
And there was other people just from the crowd that were getting up and like walking
with their iPhones,
right up to the bride and groom during like important parts. So we were having to like push people.
Yeah, you have
to
kind of like, and Tom told us to do this, but he was like, you are the one with the professional camera. You need to kind of like tell them to move or kind of push them to the side, or else they're going to block the view. Felt awkward doing that at first, but then eventually we got comfortable being like, please move, like we've got to take photos. And I think the bride and groom appreciated it, because there were a couple times the bride and groom were like, kind of like telling other people to move and make space for us. We went with the bride and groom and like the wedding party and did some really pretty like pictures in a scenic spot.
There was some confusion though.
There's always some confusion.
On where the spot was, so we were told to go to the end of Main Street, so then we showed up and nobody else was there. So then Tom called like one of the groomsmen and found out they were by the golf course, so we drove over by the golf course, and then it was discovered that you can't take pictures there without paying some fee to go on the golf course. So then we drove back and then just found a spot like literally on the side of the road, but it worked out really well. It was, you know,
it was really pretty.
Okay, keep holding. 1, 2, 3.
So then we show up to the reception.
Pretty similar to receptions that we do in America. The bride and groom like entered, it was a whole big thing, everyone cheered.
Pretty standard. I would say there's more speeches.
Yeah.
Like it was like, if you bring somebody up, they say their name, where they're from, like where they grew up, and then they're like, you know what? There's a couple people I want to bring up here, and they'll bring their siblings, and then they'll all say their name and who they want to bring up. So it was a big, like everybody got a chance with microphone.
Yes.
Everybody got thanked, like, you know, where we were having the reception, anybody who was involved in planning it, all the families, we got thanked several times. It started to get dark and we got later into the day. They did cutting the cake and a little bit of dancing, but not very much.
A little bit more gifts.
Yeah.
Gifts are just like such a huge part of weddings. It's like part of the ceremony is like presenting gifts. Something else to note about the reception is that it's kind of just open to the public. Like obviously people that were invited to the wedding are coming to it, but they don't turn away other people that just like stroll inside. And a lot of people will come and like, because they know they can get a pretty good meal.
To a new life with his wife.
The last thing they did was they did like a quick outfit change, the wedding party did, and the girls came out in like their cute, fun, shorter dresses with their like sneakers, and it was a little bit of dancing. We actually didn't stay super long. I'm sure they stayed and danced a little bit longer, but we were riding with Tom, and Tom had had a headache all day, and so we left with them.
Yeah, we got what we needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. like we feel really grateful that we had the opportunity to like participate in something really unique and like participate in such a like central way, not just like kind of sitting in the crowd or something.
Yeah, it was honestly like such an honor.
Yeah.
Such an honor to be a part of like not only just someone's special day, but someone's special day in this country that we've just moved to.
Yeah.
We're still learning so much. I feel like this helped give us a lot of context about Ugandan culture that it would have probably taken us a long time to pick up on if we hadn't have gone to the wedding. So yeah, it was really, really special.
Yeah, and I think now we kind of know a little bit more about the ceremonies and the process of it all. It is like, in truth, it was 2 very long days.
Yeah.
We were very tired at the end of it.
Monday was just a recover day.
Yeah, we had to take some.
But I think everyone that went to the wedding thought that. Like, I'm assuming the bride and groom were also exhausted. We know Tom's family was exhausted.
Yeah.
Just because it's not common to do those 2 things back to back. But some people just want to get it over with and like wrap it all up, and I totally get that as well. So our first wedding, a success. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we will ask a Ugandan and then reply.